Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. Today, we're going to go over, let's see, how do I put this? Putting your foot in your mouth, making things all the more worse for your company, or you know what you said, you have the right to say it, but maybe you just shouldn't have said it. That seems to be a massive epidemic going around with these game studios, these movie studios, developers, stars, so-called elites in the industry of running their mouths and then being upset when people have a problem with what they say. This edition of this wonderful little story comes from, shocker, Ubisoft, because how much more worse could it possibly get for Ubisoft? Over at that Park Place, John F. Trent, monetization director, because everyone's favorite position, monetization director at Ubisoft, Stevie Chassard, maybe? I'm Kunas, but let's go with Chassard. Lashes out at gamers and fellow developers because that's a good idea. Let's lash out at potential customers because they seem to forget. Gamers. These are potential customers. These are the people that you want to open their wallets and throw money at you. But when you run your mouth like an absolute moron, insulting your potential customers, well, we take our money elsewhere. How often do we have to say that before it actually gets through their heads? But let's go. Stevie Chassard, the monetization director at Ubisoft, lashed out at gamers and his fellow developers in the wake of the company postponing Assassin's Creed Shadows to Black History Month, and admitting its sales on Star Wars Outlaws were softer than expected. Well, they make medication for that, but anyway, softer than expected. It failed. They did not meet expectations. Softer. Oh, we're always trying to get, I don't know, different terminology to make it not seem as bad. The word on the street is 1 million copies sold. That's not going to make a profit, but let's see. Ubisoft announced via a press release that it was downgrading its expected yearly net bookings to this money right there. I'm a Western idiot, so I don't know. I only pay attention to US dollars, which is failing anyway. And that it would have, let's see, 1.5 billion euros. Yeah. Correct my moronic less self in the comment section down below, please. I'm not ashamed to admit that I don't know what all these symbols mean. I did good in economics, but as far as worldwide currency symbols, no, I failed that part of the test. It has been a while. Anyway, it would have, quote, around break even. Companies don't want that. Non-IFRS operating income and free cash flow. It also shared that it had a softer than expected launch for Star Wars Outlaws, and that Star Wars Outlaws initial sales proved, they said softer twice. Freudian slip maybe. What you tell me about your mother? The company also delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows to February. Go figure. Isn't that a coinky-dink, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sure it's just, it's the month before the end of the fiscal year for Ubisoft, so just a coincidence. Purely a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. Purely a coincidence. Claiming it would provide additional time to further polish the title. Let's see. About a week after the press release, here's where it gets all fun. Chassard took to LinkedIn, where he lashed out at gamers, which is a good financial move, and his fellow developers. Let's insult your coworkers, your peers. That's always a good idea, too. Celebrating the demise of Ubisoft. Well, when you constantly put out garbage with horrible monetization and reject and insult your critics, well then, please forgive us if we're going to dance on your grave. He wrote, I rarely post on social media, but today I am sad. So are we, with all the garbage games that you are putting out. Ashamed and sad. You should be ashamed. You should absolutely be ashamed. The gaming industry is rough at the moment. No, I think that's really only the AAA industry that is constantly putting out, well, garbage. There's an indie scene out there that is putting passion and love into their craft, and instead of putting out, I don't know, predatory monetization outside of mobile titles, putting that into the game, putting their heart, putting their soul and time and care, and not insulting the customers. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hint, hint. Well, the product, the finished product, shows that love, that care, and that passion. And gamers respond in kind by throwing the monies at those developers instead of, like Ubisoft that want to charge you $130 with a 3-day early access in a single-player game that has cosmetic skins in a single-player game. Cool. Where was I? Let's see. But seeing how gamers, why do these douchebags always put it in quotes? So-called, like, that's saying by how so-called gamers, that's what those quotes means. So-called gamers. So, so these aren't people that could buy your product. These aren't people who have purchased your product. Older Assassin's Creed games, they're not real potential customers, right? But seeing how gamers react on social media, wishing ill fate to companies that don't care about the end product, that don't want to listen to the criticism that's put forth to them, and people alike is sad, and not only towards Ubisoft. Well, there's a reason why we wish ill fate to companies. It's because you are pandering to the so-called modern audience that does not exist. You are disrespecting the franchises. You are disrespecting your potential customers, calling all critics any number of names and simply brushing it off as, you're just a bigot, you are a racist, you're a misogynist, you're a transphobe, an istophobe, and all these other different little names. So, yes, like I said before, please forgive me that if you continue down that path of disrespect, of ignorance, of blowing off and insulting, then we're going to dance all over your grave. Gleefully, like Snoopy. Even though it is always the vocal minority. Oh, sweet summer child, if it was only the vocal minority. Well, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't finish reading that. It is only the vocal minority that express themselves on social media, and that is true. However, this goes both ways, essentially, where it is the vocal minority that is screeching that they want that sort of nonsense. They want the ideological checkboxes in their game. They want the surgery scars. They want the flat chest, flat ass, masculine jaw that some see. That's what they want. They want the diversity and the inclusion first and foremost. They are also a vocal minority. You need to pay attention to what your customers are buying. Pay attention to what people are streaming and playing more often than not. It's very simple. And maybe, just maybe, listen to them instead of, I don't know, that vocal minority of the modern audience. I was hurt. Oh, you poor little baby. Would you like a tissue? Hurt and ashamed. Again, you should be ashamed to be part of this community. Well, we don't want you to be part of this community either because you're in charge of monetization and we don't like you. He then directed his anger at his fellow developers. I'm sure that's going to go a long way. What is even more revolting is coming on LinkedIn and seeing the same comments from people within the industry that are trying to help you and steer you in the right direction. Maybe. On top of exposing yourself as a clearly non-decent human being, here we go again with the insults. That's going to get you far. You are affecting thousands of employees that are already impacted by all the hate, despite doing their best to deliver incredible experiences. Well, maybe you should do a better job with, I don't know, the gameplay, the story, the world building, and stop worrying so much about the different little check boxes. Stop worrying so much about my representation over and over again, because as it looks, as it appears, the important things are suffering, like story and world building and gameplay. How can you wish a company to fail? Because you suck at your job. Simply because they do not cater to you or that the product does not please you is beyond me. Are you serious, you pretentious twat? Hold on a second. Oh, we got to go over this sentence one more time. How can you wish a company to fail simply because the product does not please you? I don't know what to say about that other than your head is so far up your posterior, you have forgotten what it's like to sell a product. The idea is to cater to the customer, cater to the majority customer, the majority demographic, not the minority demographic. Those are niche games, and they can be popular and they can be successful, but you should not have a 10, 20, $30 million budget. Stay away from the massively high budgets if you are making a game that cater to a niche audience, a niche demographic. When you want to make money, you need to cater. Oh, and by the way, stop insulting the majority demographic and just make the game, make it fun first, fucker. Do that. Try that for a change. But the idea that you wish a company to fail simply because the product does not please you. Well, guess what? If the product does not please the majority demographic, you deserve to fail. Especially when you go out of your way to write nonsense like this, insulting the customer, insulting fellow developers who are trying to say, hey, you are screwing up. Please forgive me, but I do not and never will feel bad for a developer that behaves in such a manner. You get exactly what you deserve. Chassard concluded, quote, "We are all in the same boat." No, we are not. Because there are developers out there. There are studios. There are writers, showrunners, executives who are trying, not too many in the West, but whatever, that are listening to the criticism. Look at Sonic, who are trying to pay attention to the target demographic. Stellar Blade, First Descendant, games like that. They don't hide it either. Who does this game going to cater to? Dudes. Give her a fat booty and a big old chesticles. And the games happen to actually be fun as well. They're fun. And it looks like they're fun first and foremost. And they're pretty to look at, which is always a bonus. So, forgive me, but I do not believe that you are all in the same boat, especially not you, Stevie, because you are out here, from what I can see, insulting everyone because it's not going the way you wanted to. While these other developers are trying to listen, trying to pay attention, listening to the criticism instead of insulting the customer, putting out a product that, hey, maybe the majority demographic will enjoy and they'll give us our money, and, well, that puts you on a dinghy and them, well, on something bigger, maybe even a yacht. Maybe the sales of the game will get to buy those executives a yacht, while Ubisoft's stock is cratering, and there's talks that Tencent is going to come along and buy you up because you're failing, Stevie, failing in the simplest of tasks, giving the customer what they want. Please, please, please stop spreading hate. We're not spreading hate. We're being critical. We're spreading opinions. We're voicing our disdain for the product you are trying to shovel down our throats. Screeching over and over, don't ask questions, just consume product and get excited for next product. Well, we're tired of doing that, so we're going to voice our opinion. And a difference of opinion is not hate, no matter how often people like you try to say it's so. We should all uplift each other. Well, we're trying to. We tried, and then you insulted us over and over again. You ignored the criticism. You insulted the critics. So you know what? Go down with the ship, Stevie. We should all uplift each other instead of bringing each other down. Ooh, look in the mirror. This will likely be lost on Chassard, but Ubisoft and many of his fellow employees are the ones pushing hate through their commitment to woke ideology. Yep, you got that right. I'm going to go ahead and link the rest of the article. I think John gives a few recaps of what, especially Yves Guillemot. I said that wrong. I know I'm terrible at this. My memory's Swiss cheese. Someone corrected me in one of the comments section, but feel free to correct me again. Eventually, I will remember Yves. I remember his first name, Yves Guillemot. Did I say it right that time? Anyway, I'll link the rest because John F. Trent, he goes ahead and recaps a bunch of the other stuff, the things that the CEO has said and all these other people have said. But in this case, I wonder how this is going to go over for Stevie coming out and insulting not just gamers, stop calling them gamers. Stop calling us gamers. Start calling us what we are. Potential customers. The people you're supposed to be catering to. The people you're supposed to be making video games for. The broad audience. Potential customers. Maybe start treating us like that. Making games that, we want to play instead of the drivel you've been shoveling for years. And you might see a big old massive turnaround. But to go after fellow developers as well that are criticizing you, other people in the industry who see what's going on, people that you might want to have a little bit more respect for other than the, morons like me running our mouths online. Listen to them, maybe just a little bit. They might know what they're doing. They might know what they're talking about. But hey, what do I know? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all the nifty little things that YouTube beg you to do. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.